My guest is Robert Aldana. He's been a guest on my program last year. I was excited about having him because he, for a long time, had his own program, Let's Talk Real Estate, here at Create TV. And rumor has it you're coming back on. You might be putting a program together.
We'll see what happens. That's definitely the plan. I was on this particular place for about 15 years. Had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah.
And it was Let's Talk Real Estate. So thanks for mentioning that. And we'll just see what happens. Hopefully there'll be some space for little old me for them to squeeze me in there.
Oh, they're going to squeeze you in there, Robert. You did a great job with that.
you.
And a lot of people had positive comments to make about it.
Thank you.
know,
You talked
so.
a lot to my mom then, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
The extended family as well. So it's your neighbors.
We got a lot.
I need you to do well because I'm trying to get the creative award for next year, by the way. So that's we'll talk to Suzanne about that.
Sounds good.
Let's talk about. I like what we're going to be talking about as far as California. You know, we are in kind of a cocoon,
right.
you know, kind of situation where actually real estate here is doing well.
Yes, it is.
And 2 out of the 5, I believe it is, counties in California, we happen to be on the up end of that. Go ahead, explain.
Yeah, what it is actually, as you know, 2012 was a good year for a lot of people. In fact, the previous guest, Bill Lister, which is a perfect name for a real estate guy, Bill Lister. Can you believe that? I mean, so anyways, I wonder, is that really his name?
Yeah,
that's a great name. So okay, so here's what happened.
Listerine, by the way.
Listerine.
Anyway,
yeah. All right. Well, I don't get close enough to know that one.
All right.
So here's the deal. In California, okay, as we know, California tends to set a trend for the rest of the nation. 2012, I think we hit rock bottom late 2011, early 2012, and there's 5 cities that a study came out in which they did the best recovery. In other words, the areas where prices went back up. 2 out of 5 in the entire United States happened to be in Northern California. Oakland being one of them, I think it was number 3, and San Jose was number 4. We're talking about cities in the entire country, not counties, but cities, which is a good thing because, you know, being in an area, Oakland obviously hit some really tough times for a few years, and you kind of saw that was going to happen. But I think what we saw was, you know, I always like to call it like the racquetball effect, and you seem to be a guy who love sports, and you probably an ex-athlete yourself, right? Well, you know, when you throw a racquetball down, let's say when you hold a racquetball like 8 feet off the ground, or in my case, 6 feet off the ground, you let it go, and the moment of impact, when it bounces back up, that first like 6 to 12 inches is when you get the fastest jump and jolt, right? And then as it's going up, it doesn't go up as fast as when it first came up because it can't sustain that type of a speed. I think that's what we saw. We saw the bottom of the market in 2012, and people always ask me, how are you going to know when you have the bottom of the market? And I always tell them, I know the answer. The answer is when prices start going up. And we saw that in 2012. And so San Jose and Oakland were 2 of the top 5 cities in the country.
That's incredible. First of all, that racquetball analogy is amazing. Do you have a background in physics too?
Yes, I do on the internet. I got my PhD on YouTube. Yeah, no. Absolutely.
No, that's a great analogy. So it's so why do you think, out of 5 spots in the country, San Jose and Oakland had such a recovery?
Well, it's simple.
That on?
It's simple. I think Oakland had a big recovery because Oakland took one of the biggest crashes. In fact, if you'll do some analysis and if you look around, I would bet that Stockton, the Stockton area, Modesto, and some of those areas are also probably in the top 10 to top 20 list. The reason why is because they came down so low. The prices, I mean, you were buying houses over there for $40,000, $50,000. I mean, that's as much as, you know, some people pay for a car, if not less. And so I think what happens is they saw such a downfall in property values.
No place to go.
In other words, so let's say we talked about the racquetball theory a little bit ago. When you drop it and it goes back up, well, in this particular case, you threw the racquetball down fast. So the faster you threw it, the fastest it jolted up. And I think that you're going to see the same thing. You know, I have a lot of listings in the Oakland area, and everything is multiple offers and cash offers. San Jose, Facebook and all the IPOs and all the things that are happening over 2012, place to be where you want to get more jobs. There's just a lot of employment here, and people love the area. Yep. Okay, in San Jose, I mean, we took a hit because we were destined to. I mean, the type of growth that we had was really unsustainable. But I think at this point now you can see, I mean, when you're looking at buying a house with, $400,000 and having a mortgage payment around $1,700, heck, you're renting that house for $2,500 to $2,800 a month.
Yeah.
So I think that's the reason.
Let's talk about the California Mortgage Debt Relief Act.
Yes.
Why don't you go ahead and just go right into it? We just have a couple minutes
Okay,
here, so.
you got it. Really super important, folks. So here's what happens is, as most of you may have known, with the fiscal cliff coming towards the end of the year, the president and Senate and everybody got together out of their fishing trips and hunting trips. And what they decided to do is start working on legislation to avoid some of the issues that were coming up in the fiscal cliff. Well, the Mortgage Debt Relief Act, what that does basically is if you sell your property as a short sale, or if you lose a property in a foreclosure, let's say you owe $500,000 and the property sells for $200,000. There's a $300,000 difference that the lender has to forgive. Normally and typically the IRS says that those $300,000 you have to pay capital gains taxes on. Why? Because you borrowed $5 and only paid back $2. Well, with the Mortgage Debt Relief Act and Mortgage Debt Forgiveness Act that was signed by George Bush in 2007, it expired in 2012, December 31st, 2012.
Yes.
They extended it on the very first day of January, which is great. Okay, which means that if you sell your house as a short sale or you lose your house as a foreclosure, you don't have to pay capital gains taxes if you qualify, and most people are going to qualify. However, California has its own version of that because California is exempt from having to follow that particular law. California has its own Mortgage Debt Forgiveness Act. They did not extend it. So that means that you may not have to pay capital gains taxes to the federal government, but you may have to pay taxes to California. However, there's a new bill that's being proposed right now. It's SB 30, and they're working on it, and we're hoping it's going to come through pretty soon, which will make, whenever they sign that bill, will make it retroactive to the time between they signed it and the first of the year. So hopefully, I'm thinking everyone's going to be okay, but with government, you never really know. So that's where we're at today.
Yeah, it's a little nervousness going on with that, so we'll see what happens. Unfortunately, we can't talk about it any further. We've got to move on, but we'll get you on another time, Robert, and discuss that. So
pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Or watch it on your own program. So it's like,
Thanks,
Robert
Brad.
Aldana has been my guest. He's with Intero Real Estate.